Very much so. Well, more than anything else, I don't want to jump ahead that far because there's a lot more, there's some landmines in trying to move forward with increasing eligibility. There's some practicality issues that have to be thought through, and it's more than just the seniors themselves. More than anything else, I'm just worried about the matter at hand, which is, are we going to have a remainder of the season? I know there's no championship because that's all the NCAA can mandate, but is our conference going to allow us to have some closure for our players this season? So I really appreciate what the ASUN office and what our university presidents have done, and they haven't put the kibosh on everything. They basically said we're going to give ourselves a little bit of cooling time, some thinking time, and we'll decide by April 5th what the next course of action is, whether to delay it some more, whether to make a hard decision on what to do moving forward, whether we proceed or not. So I'm hopeful that they're going to make a great decision with the extra time.
Has the NCAA ever granted that extension for players?
That's not a question for me. In my 25 years, typically you file waivers, and then they take it on a case-by-case basis. This is a full-fledged blanket that a lot of people would want to take advantage of, and this is beyond the scope of my knowledge. This is a better question for Keenan Johns and Tyler Rosenberger, our compliance people. I have an opinion, but nobody cares.
We do.
Absolutely. My opinion is that I think it's a great gesture, but the other piece of it is it's complicated, and if you only grant it for seniors, how about the juniors, sophomores, and freshmen who have had half of their season taken away? Are you going to consider those cases as well? That's where the landmines are. And then you have some scholarship equivalency, money issues, and then you have people coming in who are expecting jobs with the seniors graduating. It's really, really complex. Smarter people than me are going to have to work on figuring this out. But regardless of what they decide, there are going to be some landmines to that as well.
It becomes a big logistical problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I'm just moving forward with the information I have. And all I'm worried about is our mantra as a team is what's important now. That's how you win. And what's important right now is making sure these guys get ahead in their classes, that they are physically healthy. And if we're ready to move after April 5th, that they come back healthy, hearty, and hungry to get going.
Heartbreaking. I've been doing this 33 years, been in education and coaching, and absolutely just heartbreaking. Devastated for my kids, my seniors. Very, very tough day for us.
And how did the students take it?
Not good. Not good. I mean, when you've been doing something since you're 5 years old, and then just overnight you wake up, you're pregame, and you're getting ready to play, and your career's taken away, was very, very tough on them.
So you were saying just a couple of weeks ago, you know, when these guys leave this university, you hope they realize how much you cared for them, you loved them. What was it like to kind of console those seniors that might not get to play in this uniform again?
Yesterday was the toughest day in my career because I had no answers. My words were not magic. Everything I said to them, I think they heard, but I don't think they felt because they were in such shock.
Can you update us on just what's next for you guys? I understand that you can practice at your own discretion. Just what are you doing with the team in the next couple of weeks?
We can practice up to date until there's a meeting at 3 o'clock. We'll know a lot more. We will continue to practice. For us, it's a little bit different than most sports because we have some guys that I think have a chance in the major league draft. So they need to keep going and keep doing what they're doing. But it's just tough. I mean, it's just tough that we say goodbye to 9 seniors that are not going to get a chance to finish or put their cleats up or hang their cleats up the right way.
Any plans to do any kind of team gatherings or celebration to kind of celebrate those guys or the team in general?
Oh, we will. It's kind of got to, I think we got to go through the grieving process a little bit. But last night we played wiffle ball. They got together and they turned on the lights and the whole team was there. They played wiffle ball and it was good to see them laugh because there was not a lot of laughing when we got the news.
Was that wiffle ball out on the
Yep.
Big Diamond?
Yeah, on the Big Diamond, you know, in front of the new scoreboard that just got finished yesterday.
Yeah, what happens with that? I know the dedication was planned for the end of March.
Well, I guess it's on hold. I would say it's on hold. And we had a lot of alumni that were coming back that played with Chris, and just a lot of alumni. It was going to be a very special night for FGCU baseball for sure.
Do you think canceling this season, the games, do you think it's necessary in response to the coronavirus outbreak?
I think it's what we had to do. And whether it's right or wrong, it's what we had to do. I don't know, but I think if it puts our kids in danger, that it was the right thing to do. As tough as it was, if everyone else is doing it, I think that we probably made the right decision.
Do you have a gut feeling about what happens after, that April 4th when the waiting time is up? Do you think you will see any games this year?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, for us, it's a really a tough call because I don't know if we have finished our conference season. I don't know if some of these guys might decide to just sign as a free agent. I mean, our sport's a lot different because with the history of our program, guys going to the next level, some guys just might want to get their career started. We don't even know if there's going to be a major league draft as of right now because they're not able to get out. A lot of clubs have taken their scouts off the road. So, I mean, I have a lot of questions and I don't have a lot of answers. I mean, I have zero. So I don't know what is going to come of this. We'll do whatever the conference wants us to do, but we'll always put our kids first, though.
With scouts not on the road, it seems like it would hurt the major programs more. So those are the kids that need to be in front of scouts more than anybody else to show what they can do.
Right. I mean, like tonight, we had 7 confirmed scouts coming to watch Mason Studstill throw. And so that part of the game is what a lot of people don't see. It's not only these games, but it might be for the rest of his career. So, I mean, it hurts us not playing, but it also hurts where this kid might be in 365 days from now.
Yeah, things have been changing rapidly in the world, in our country, in the world of sports, and we're kind of just going with the flow.
What did it mean to you to be in there with the girls today, to cut down the net? You got to do your dance that the girls love so much. I know it's not the same as it would have been on Sunday, but what did that mean to you?
Well, I knew our players were really disappointed that the season ended in the way it did, and we never really celebrated our regular season championship. And this year there was only going to be one ASUN champion, and that was us. And I thought we should try to turn a tough situation into a place of a little bit of joy for what we did get a chance to experience this season.
Can you talk a little bit more about how the girls took the news yesterday?
Well, I didn't see them because the news happened after practice was over and everybody was already home, but the players are really disappointed. You work all year to get to a championship game, you want to play in it, you're going to be going to the NCAA tournament. It's the most exciting time of the year for basketball players. Everybody wants to be a part of it. But I think there was an understanding as well that sometimes things are more important than basketball, and people's safety and health has to take the primary concern.
As soon as pretty much your semifinal game ended, you saw the news that some conferences were already starting to cancel. The NBA had already been canceled at that point, but the ASUN was kind of one of the last conferences to hold out, even though they kept saying as early as 4 o'clock, I think yesterday afternoon, that you guys were playing. Did you kind of see that probably just wasn't going to happen?
Well, going into yesterday, I thought the game would happen, but there'd be no fans, was what I thought. And then by the end of the day, when you saw everything that transpired that day, I had a pretty good, even though I wasn't told yet, I had a pretty good idea that cancellation was on the horizon, and then a couple hours later it was canceled.
You mentioned something yesterday when I spoke to you just about sports being life lessons. This is a painful life lesson, but one nonetheless. Can you talk a little bit about that, just what you told your girls about, how to respond to this and what that means in terms of life lessons?
Well, there's so many things. I mean, timing in life is so important, and there's a lot of things that are out of your control, and you have to be able to deal with it. And you shouldn't take any of the moments that you have for granted, and you should appreciate them as they're happening, because at any moment, like, things just get cut off. And for us, it's just a basketball season. For other people, it's more altering to their lives. So we got to have a lot of fun this year playing basketball, a lot of success. It should be an enjoyable experience.
What are you going to remember about this team? Because one of the best in program history, I mean, ranked consecutively week after week after week, and they don't get to prove it in the big dance.
Well, I mean, that's probably what I'll remember, is that we had a really good team, one of the probably best 25 teams in the nation, and how this season ended. Let's hope there's no more seasons that end in this way, and that we can resume basketball as soon as it's safe for everyone, and hopefully that's as soon as, next season. But, that's what I'll remember. I'll remember, each of the kids, how much they developed while they were here, and, you'll remember little, we won a tournament in Cancun and everybody celebrated. I tend to remember the moments of players enjoying being around each other and celebrating and getting to experience what college athletics has to offer.
You guys have won a couple NCAA tournament games. The goal is to get to that Sweet 16. I'm going to ask you a tough question. Is this the team that would have done it?
Yeah, you never know which year is the year that you're going to break through. Had we finished the tournament, we're likely to be like a 7 or 8 seed in the tournament. And that's not an easy way to get to the Sweet 16, because if you win an 8-9 game in the first round, the second round, you're playing a #1 seed. So it's hard to say what would happen. What I would say is, out of all our teams that went to the NCAA tournament, this one matched up the best against the really big schools, because we have so many different options that could score, and we could space the floor so well, and when we're sharing the ball, we could have been a real problem for people. But there's a lot of teams that think they could have accomplished something, and they just didn't get the opportunity.
I'm still in disbelief. I've been trying to find the words to express how I feel, but I don't even know what to say right now. We've been watching this thing unfold and never expected it to get this far. But right now we're just focusing on being together, and we still have hope, and we're just going to be positive throughout this whole thing.
As a senior, are you hopeful that after that April 4th or 5th deadline that there will be a game or two that you guys can play?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even if it's 1 game or 2 games, I would do anything to put on that jersey again and go out there and give it all I have, like we've been doing the whole season. So, yeah.
Who's been kind of the voice of reason, I guess, in the locker room? Has it just been Dee, or did you guys have to try and console the underclassmen, or did someone have to try and console the seniors?
Honestly, all of us. Everyone has been so helpful in trying to make the seniors feel better about this, but it's not just about the seniors too. Like the freshmen and sophomores and juniors, they lost their season too, and we've all been picking each other up, and honestly, our team just being together, and I don't know, the seniors couldn't do this without the rest of the girls on the team, and everybody's been stepping up, and yeah, so.
Obviously, the season's already well underway. You guys were 20 games in already, but since it might not be finished, are you hopeful that maybe the NCAA will grant you an extra year of eligibility?
Yeah, I do. I think that would be fair. I mean, like I said, if they did grant me another year of eligibility, I would take it in a heartbeat, and I'm just gonna be hopeful and be positive about it, and it's not over until they say that it's completely over. So yeah.
What has been, not just maybe the softball, but some of the other students you've talked to, other athletes, what has been the reaction? Is it, obviously you're upset, but is it anger, or do you guys kind of understand why this has to happen? Do you think it should have happened? I mean, emotionally, what was the reaction?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, we understand, you know, you have to take precautions and make sure people are safe and healthy. We understand that, but it doesn't take away the fact that it still hurts. And yeah, like we've been surrounding ourselves with people who understand. Like last night, baseball and softball had a wiffle ball game on the field, and you know, just trying to, you know, be there for each other. And we all understand like where everybody, you know, how everybody's feeling.
How was the volleyball game this morning? What was that like? Was that a nice stress relief?
It was a nice stress relief. We are absolutely terrible, but you know, just being out there with the girls and just, you know, putting aside all, like everything that's going on and just focusing on, you know, being together. And because you never know like when the last time is going to be the last time, and that was the whole point of being out there together and just having fun and laughing and just enjoying those moments that, you know, you might not be able to get back.
Should this be the final time you suit up in the green and blue, what are you going to remember most across these 4 years?
I don't think right now, I don't want to look at the negative side of it. I just want to, you know, focus on, you know, I don't know, being positive. Like I've enjoyed being with these girls, and that's the hard part about it is, you know, we didn't have a say in how our season might be ending, and I don't really know how to answer that question, so it's just hard.
Where do you go from here? There's no practice, you know, how do you, what do you do to keep busy besides online classes, I guess?
Yeah, so right now we're just going to take time and go back home and just be with family. I'm going to go back to Georgia, be with my family, and just, I'm going to keep practicing because, like I said, like I'm still hopeful that we're going to get more games in after April 5th. And yeah, so I think just being with our family right now, and just, we've been getting a lot of support from fans, everybody, like in Eagle Nation. Like we've gotten so much support, and we're supporting other teams too. So yeah.
So how long are you going back to Georgia? Just for the 2 weeks, or until the you know, the practice moratorium is up, or how long are you gonna be up there?
I'm gonna be up there for the 2 weeks, yes, because Coach wants us to be back by the 29th. So just go up there, clear our mind, and come back ready to go.
Do you think that stopping the season is fair in light of the coronavirus?
I think that postponing it is fair because, I mean, it is, I mean, we don't know how serious it is going to get, but I mean, canceling seasons and stuff like that might be a little much, but I mean, I don't know, I'm just an athlete, and I'm gonna play the game and, you know, be hopeful just like everybody else. So yeah.
I didn't believe it. I was distraught, I would say. It's really like an unbelievable feeling that we can't finish what we've started, and knowing that we were going to do a lot of damage in the NCAA tournament is gut-wrenching, because this would have been my first NCAA tournament to attend, and I still don't believe it. I feel like I need to wake up tomorrow and go to practice.
What was it like in there about an hour ago where you guys were cutting the net and being together?
It felt like a funeral, honestly. It was so sad and so many tears, but at the end there was a lot of joy and a lot of celebration for what we've done this year and cutting down the nets, and it was fun at the end, I would say.
you transferred here, you know, after trying for 4 years to get to the NCAA tournament. It was clear you guys were going to go, you know, win or lose on Sunday. Do you feel like you were kind of robbed there?
Definitely, but not just us, other teams too, other schools, other athletes, all seniors, not just Florida Gulf Coast.
And then are you going to remember this season more just because of the success you were able to have? You transfer here, you take a shot, playing one more year, you get your 1,000th point.
Definitely. I transfer here for a reason, and the reason that I transfer here, I accomplished all of those goals that I wanted to, except for going to the NCAA tournament, of course. But I'm so grateful and thankful to have transferred here, and I'm grateful that they chose me. And I'll just forever remember this, and I'll tell my kids about it if I ever have kids. And yeah, I'll always remember this. I always remember my coaches, my teammates, the staff, everyone around FGCU.
What are the next steps for you?
I think I'm gonna go on vacation for a little bit, and then I'll reevaluate my life and see if I want to continue playing overseas, or I have plans to go to medical school, so I might just, I don't know, get ready for that. I have to figure out how to not be a student athlete.
I know it hurts right now, but looking forward next year, this team, they lose, you know, a lot of the top players, top scorers, but then will this motivate the girls coming back even more? I mean, what do you see for next year's team?
I hope so. I mean, they have an amazing coach, Coach Semesco. He's done well every year since he started, so I don't see why they wouldn't continue their legacy.
This morning, Kiri said that you guys were just getting started. Can you describe the relationship that you've had with Kiri over this past year?
Kiri, like, that's my point guard. I'm a point guard as well, but she's my point guard. She could always tell me what I needed to do, and I would do it. And I always admired her since day one. And I don't think she really realized how much I looked up to her. And I'll miss her for sure. I can't really say much because I'll start crying, but yeah, I'll miss her, and I admire her a lot.
I'm not trying to get you to cry, but you know, she was going to have one last home game here in her hometown as the ASUN Player of the Year. Do you feel a little bit more for her because she was robbed of that opportunity?
Definitely, especially because she came back for her last year. She didn't have to do that, and since she did, I think she deserves it all, and she can't get what she deserves.
Spring sports.
Well, first, from an overall standpoint, we're having a conference call this afternoon at 3 o'clock with all the presidents and the commissioner and ADs and so forth of the ASUN to discuss what we're going to do going forward. At a minimum, it won't be until April 5th that things could possibly resume. Will they resume? We hope so. But I think the general thought process was, let's at least take a pause and move forward with more information than to what we all think, and many of us think, happened nationally, where a knee-jerk reaction occurred and championships in late June and July were already canceled. So I'm not an expert in the area of science. I leave that to others. We have great people on our campus. Our president's a tremendous leader. He works with the folks throughout the local and state area to find out what we need to do, and we're just continually starting to focus on what the president wants us to do. He was with us today. We had a meeting with all our head coaches and our key executive staff, and he just basically said, you know, just stay patient. He believes that being on campus is still a very positive place for anyone, and in turn, with the only change at this juncture being that all classes now are moving to online starting Monday, rather than being some of them in classrooms.
What is the practice policy for your spring teams?
Right now, we're leaving it up to each team. There may be a change. Some of the conferences I've seen nationally have put across the board that you can't practice, you can't recruit, and so forth. That may be discussed today in our conference call, and we'll know a little bit more probably later in the afternoon.
Obviously, the ASUN was kind of one of the last conferences to put a full ban on everything. Was it a bit disappointing? Did you hope that you could get this done on, or at least the championship game on Sunday?
We were. Again, the first and foremost aspect is the safety of our student athletes and everybody involved for our events. We had the game on Wednesday. We had not had any outbreak. There was no state of emergency in Lee County or Collier County or any of the surrounding counties. So we felt playing on Sunday was going to be fine. And Liberty felt the same way. They were chartering down on a plane, so they weren't worried about heading into large metropolitan airports. So as far far as we were concerned, up until the time that really everybody else in the country pulled the plug, that we were still going to try to play. Some people disagreed with that, and we understand. There were certainly two pieces to it. One, anyone who had bought tickets on the front end, when we did this on Wednesday, we were refunding if they didn't feel like they wanted to come. We understood that. And then others were at a choice whether they wanted to come or not. If we had had a student athlete or a staff member that felt they weren't comfortable being a part of it, we would have certainly honored that as well. So, we're just moving forward with business as usual, and then, it really just got to the point, if we were going to be the only game in the country playing, it was a very difficult optics for our presidents. We understand that, but I think, unfortunately, there was so much knee-jerk reactions that occurred, we got left with no other choice.
Is it a bit disappointing to not see this women's basketball team in the NCAA tournament, a team that a lot of people were kind of expecting to make a Dunk City type run?
Oh, absolutely. From what they had accomplished, and the proof was certainly there in all the information that we've discussed in terms of who we played. This was a team that was in a position we all felt, win or loss on Sunday, we're going to be in a position they were getting an at-large bid. And it was just a matter of what seed were we going to be, and it was based on merit throughout the year. Beating Duke by 20 points, and UCF, who was in the mid-30s, I think, in the RPI by an equal 20 points. It came down to that they had proven themselves in so many ways. The opportunity to get to the Sweet 16 or better for the first time was certainly realistic, and it's just going to be a shame that they'll never be able to be in that position.
Do you have any insight or opinion on the cancellation rather than postponement of the NCAA tournaments?
None of us do. None of us were, it just came out of left field. I mean, we saw what was going on a national basis in terms of the larger tournaments and even many smaller ones going from no fans, and that's where pretty much we thought it was going to finish. If I understand correctly, even some of the Power 5 conferences as recently as yesterday morning in press conferences like this were discussing, hey, we went from the night before having fans to now we feel it's probably safer not to have fans, and we're still going to play. Obviously the Big East tipped off and then they stopped in the middle of the game. I think they got pressured to stop. I really would have, being someone who was an alum of a school at the time from the Big East, would have loved to have seen Creighton and St. John's at least finish their game. But that's how much political pressure got put on nationally that they were forced to have those student athletes walk off the court at halftime in a game that I don't think playing one more half was going to bother anybody. And that's just what happened. And so it happened at a national level first for basketball, and then just the totally shocking news that the spring sports were put into a situation where they were was very difficult to comprehend, and it's still hard to give answers to our student athletes and coaches as to why it happened.
So what's your job now going to be like for the next couple of weeks? I mean, are you going to come into the office every day, and what do you do?
Well, first and foremost, until we find out what the ASUN's going to do, we're going to prepare that come April 5th, we're going to some way have contests go back on. Is that going to be a large percentage that will occur? No, but we're going to plan for it, and in turn, if we find out later today or whenever it may be that there's no more contests, within reason, it kind of, other than rules that may affect everybody nationally, no recruiting, no practice, whatever it may be, we'll work toward almost like the start of the summer months and get ready for next year, hoping that next year is full business as usual by the time August rolls around.
So just to be clear, I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead horse, but the NCAA has canceled all spring championships.
And they only have jurisdiction over the postseason.
Okay, so the ASUN can still play regular season games as much as they
Anybody
want.
can.
Okay.
And some conferences have gone so far as to put themselves in line. I think the Ivy League and Patriot League started that right off the bat. And there's some others. I was listening to the commissioner of the SEC this morning, and I think they went through March 30th. So, they maybe a week earlier than us in terms of their next pause to determine what they want to do. So it'll be interesting to see how many conferences decide, if things go to a safer thought process over the next several weeks, let's play. Let's play for a conference championship. Maybe some teams will be willing to play other schools, non-conference, that are local. We don't know. The chances of that happening probably aren't great, but I still hope, and I know, having witnessed what we did yesterday with our baseball and our softball teams, I just happened to be around those two teams yesterday, but I'm sure all of our spring sports felt the same way, the devastation. And if there's any hope that we could still help them, especially the seniors, get one more chance to put on their uniform and compete with their teammates, we'd love to see that happen.
Obviously, even though spring sports have already started, like baseball and softball, you still have everyone from freshmen all the way up to seniors that have basically lost out on a year of eligibility. What are the problems of then granting them an extra year of eligibility?
Well, I think the overall element is that I think most people are very much think of that in a positive term. That makes sense. And then we just have to make sure there aren't any unintended consequences that come about. You know, you guys may not think of it, but we have APR, the academic progress rate, and if all of a sudden you have too many players on a roster and they feel like they're not going to play, are they going to come in as newcomers and say, wow, all these guys were supposed to be gone and I was going to get to start, I'm not going to stay, and then we have to deal with the falling out of that type of situation. So there's other elements with cost of having those extra scholarships. I'm sure they could lift the scholarship limit for 1 year. You still got to find the resources. So I'm all in favor of fully investigating that, and I think there would be very few people in the country right off the bat say no way. Now we just have to figure out how do you make it happen.
Now, if Rudy Gobert doesn't test positive Wednesday night, do you think you'd be standing here Friday morning having to address the fact that spring sports have been the NCAA championships have been wiped away?
I think that's a really good question. I don't think we would be. I think that was probably the final tipping point. Unfortunately, I hope he's healthy, and I hope Donovan Mitchell and others who may have been affected are healthy too. So I do believe that became the last, because if you think about what was going on 24 hours prior and then that occurred, you put them together and it's probably directly related.
Do you think it was a little premature or rash for the NCAA to go ahead and eliminate the championships in June and early July?
Well, I personally, without knowing all the information, and I wish they would share that with us so then we could see, okay, that makes more sense. But based on the information at hand, it does beg the question why we needed to do anything other than possibly postpone or suspend rather than eliminate at this particular juncture. And one last thing, if I could just mention, with that women's basketball team, we were very happy to hear yesterday that the presidents of the Atlantic Sun Conference had made a decision once the game was not going to be played on Sunday. They voted for FGCU to win the automatic bid. And had there been a postseason, we would have represented the ASUN as the automatic qualifier. Like I said earlier, we still felt that we were a team that was going to be in the tournament no matter what, at large or from an automatic bid standpoint, and we will, from this point forward, treat that team as an NCAA championship team. Our teams only get rings if they go to the NCAAs. They will get rings. We will have on our banners the numbers that will list them as champions for not only regular season, we will do that as well for the postseason, and I'm sure Liberty could do the same thing as almost co-champions of the tournament since we both made it to the championship. And then we will certainly put a 20 up on the NCAA banner that we have here in Alico for all the well-deserved reasons of that.
So can you say that again? That was after the ASUN decided to cancel the game, the ASUN presidents voted that were there an NCAA tournament, you would get the automatic bid?
Correct. Gotcha. Yep. So, and based on, and even if they hadn't done that, we would have done things along those lines of treating this team as a NCAA tournament team. But it was made official through the conference that had been decided, and again, shortly thereafter, the NCAA tournament was canceled.